Psalm 139:13 proclaims, "For you form my inward parts, you knit me together in my mother's womb." This is such a beautiful proclamation that God is the creator of human life, and therefore we are made in His image. My name is Priscilla Hurley, and this is my story. Little do we know, however, that many burdens await us outside the womb as we enter into what can be a dangerous and hurtful world. My burden began even before my birth, when I was 12 to 14 weeks old, developing within my mother's womb. A destructive intruder invaded the safety of my mother's womb by her own desperate decision. Having been widowed with 4 children and pregnant with me, she made a fearful decision to end my life by going to an abortionist who performed a D&C abortion, which took the life of my twin, but not mine. The trauma caused by this abortion attempt had a severe impact on me physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, but it also traumatized my mother. Deep within, I was not aware of my own humanity, since my mother disregarded me in this dangerous and damaging way. Trauma can cause a freezing of our emotions, I've learned. My mother kept the shameful secret to herself for 19 years. When, as we were walking together one day at just 19, she turned to me and said, "By the way, I tried to have you aborted." Confessing this must have been a relief for her, but for me, this information explained why I had always been felt unwanted, unloved, and invisible. But then nothing else was said about it until years later. I did not have a voice to question it at that time. You see, revealing her secret happened 4 months after my first abortion, which was arranged by my parents. It was the late 60s, and I was ignorantly in the habit of sexualizing my desperate need for love. I was frightened that I might be pregnant, so I told my mother. Nothing was discussed, and a decision was made by her and my father, and I complied. They thought they were helping me, but there was no moral instruction, no talking about taking responsibility. I just went along because I trusted them. The reality of the pain and suffering that happened afterwards in my life added weight to the heavy burden of my abortion survival from 19 years earlier. A few years later, I got pregnant again. He took charge of the decision this time and said it wasn't the right time. So another innocent life was ended. I went from here to working in an abortion clinic for 3 years in the idea of helping women, adding even more pain and trauma and heaviness to the burden. My entire life up to this point had been held captive to the ignorant selfishness of living life far away from God and experiencing firsthand the evil destructiveness of abortion. I was so blind to the truth of what was happening. God began to get my attention, though, after He prevented my death in a very bad car accident. After this, I became discontent with my life, and a desire to change was stirring inside of me. I took a job that moved me from San Francisco to remote Alaska, and leaving the job at the abortion clinic. I had not changed my desperate behavior, and so found myself pregnant again. While family encouraged another abortion, this time I said no. No one was going to tell me what to do this time. I had finally found the strength of my own voice. My son was born, and 4 months later I realized my deep need for God's forgiveness. So I repented and asked for God's help. I had made a mess of this life that He had given me. I became aware that the same God that saved me in my mother's womb saved me again 31 years later. I was now set free from the captivity of abortion I was forgiven and set free. Since that time, my life has not been necessarily easy, but hope, prayer, forgiveness, restoration, healing, and redemption, it's a lot of words, have been my constant companion as I press on. It is a process with many layers to go through, but God in His patience helps with those blind spots. I continue to work through forgiveness for my mother, who chose to end my life, a life which God had given especially for her. God has helped me realize the truth that I was not born for my mother, but for Him. Forgiving myself is hard. The truth found in the Bible, though, reminds me that it is doable. God forgave me, so forgiving myself is an act of obedience and cooperation with Him. Even then, I can get sad and mourn the loss of so many lives. I realize that trauma caused me to never know my own humanity, and this blinded me from the truth that human life is taken during abortion. My mother's abortion, my own, and the many lives ended in the abortion clinic. Experiencing all this has been a heavy burden for me to carry, but I have the forgiveness of Christ now, and He is my burden bearer and wants me to continue to come to Him when it hurts. 1 Peter 5:7 proclaims, "Cast all your cares upon Him, because He cares for you." My own healing continues to require my being vulnerable about my own abortions, working in the clinic, and addressing the painful trauma kept in a secret, dark place within my own heart. I had to expose it, talk about it with people who are safe and care. Talking about it helps us more than we can imagine. My 2 babies wait for me in heaven. I've sought forgiveness from them too for not having a stronger voice to fight for their lives. Even the Lord Jesus says, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." A key to healing came when I opened my heart, looked at the raw pain and hurt, feeling it, writing honestly about it, asking others to help, and then ultimately allowing the Lord Jesus to help me carry this burden, which then allows me to receive the freedom that is promised in the Bible.